so I won't go in depth into that. We also have countries where here you can get information for each country that we have surveyed. We'll check into that. So on the country page, let's see for Ghana, for example, I can select Ghana. And then you will have all the information regarding the survey for Ghana in particular, with key statistics from the latest survey rounds, the latest publications, news releases, as well as survey resources specific for Ghana, the questionnaire for round 10. We have the data set as well as the code book. So this is one way that you can access the website to get these different resources. And we also have the partner. Similarly, you can do the same thing for other countries. I go back at the top, and here we have surveys. So this tab, you will get a lot of resources, which I think would be very useful for you if you want to, for example, use Afrobarometer dataset as the main data source for your research or for your work, for example. You will get firstly the survey resources and question and data, the questionnaire, the sampling methodology, as well as the survey manual. Let's go into the survey resources and data. If I'm going too fast, please just let me know. Okay, so survey resources and data. Here you have the possibility to search for the type of resources that you want. For example, are you looking for the survey manual, the questionnaire, the dataset, or the code book? You can also search by country, so depending on which country you want to investigate, the language, or you can select the survey round, for example. On the right here, you will have the latest uploads that have been made available. And here we have the latest data set for the Mauritanian round 10 data. A second way that you can look for resources, let's say, for example, we are looking for the Ghana data set. I can just type it in here and I search. And here, automatically, it will give you the latest data here. Oh, no, it's not the latest. We have the questionnaire, the round 9 data, round 10 data, etc. You can also select the questionnaire. Here, you will get directly the different questionnaires for each country. Again, you can search per country or per survey round. Let's see the questionnaire for Ghana. Okay, I have the latest questionnaire and you can download it. So here you will get the full questionnaire for the round 10 survey. Right, what else do I want to show you? Okay, we have topics. Here you can browse according to your different topic of interest. For example, let's check regional and global relations. So here you will get all the publications related to the topic, theme, regional and global relations. Again, you can search by country or the publication type. Let's say, for example, I'm interested in looking at a policy paper regarding this topic. I choose policy paper, and here I will get the different publications for this topic. Let's just check this one. I click on it. And here again, you can download the policy paper. So far, so good?
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have publications. Here again, this is another route that you can use to find the different publications that we have for you to download. Let's just go into all publications. On your right, you will have the latest publications under Afrobarometer. And here you can also either search by a specific term that you're looking for, the different type of publication, a topic, country, or survey round. So the same resources can be accessed via different routes on the website. Importantly, I think that one would be interesting for you guys. We have data. So here, this section allows you to download the data sets available. We have the individual data sets for countries. We also have the merge data set, which compiled all all the countries that we surveyed in a particular round. Let's just go through this. I will select the data sets. And here again, I can select which one I would like to choose. Let's take my country, for example, Mauritius. And here I have the latest survey data for Mauritius. You can either download it into SAV format or CSV format, depending on what you're more comfortable with. Let's try the download SAV. Let me see if you can see. Yeah, once you download that, you will be getting the .sav format, which you can use on SPSS, for instance. Let's just go back. Now, sometimes there might be some data sets, namely the latest data sets that you would like to analyze, but it might not already be available on the website. So usually for latest survey rounds, the data is under 1 year embargo. But you have the possibility to send a special request to Afrobarometer to access these data set. So here you will see I went into the tab data usage and access policy. And here, if you wish to gain early access to any data or access to restricted data, you can complete the data request form, and the team will process your request accordingly and will inform you whether they can share that data set which is not already available to the public at that particular moment. And this section we have impact. So impact is where we talk about our initiatives of capacity building, the different impact stories that Afrobarometer data has had in different countries. And lastly, the news and features. Here again, you will have the latest publication of Afrobarometer, any specific or special announcement that is relevant. Importantly, you can also sign up under this tab, News and Features, sign up for our mailing list where you will receive the latest updates from Afrobarometer. It can be a latest publication or an event that we are having, for instance. So you can submit your email addresses here. So these are the main access point for the different resources that we have on the Afrobarometer website. I will stop here and I will check if you have any questions before proceeding further. Any questions?
None from my side.
Okay. I'll just check if I can. I don't see any hands up. All right.
Yeah, I can continue.
Thank you. So that was the first part, accessing the website. Now, the second part is the online data analysis tool of Afrobarometer. Firstly, I will show you how you can access this tool via the website. There are two main routes. If you're on your laptop, on the top banner, you will see Analyze Online here. So that's one way to access the online data analysis tool. I will refer to the tool as an acronym, the ODA that we often use. So if I'm saying ODA, you know, it's the online data analysis tool. So firstly, I can access it on the top banner. But sometimes if you're using your smartphone, you might not see the tab banner. So you go completely at the end of the website, and here you still have Analyze Online. So I will check this one. Now we are on the ODA page, which is a tool free to use and quite user-friendly actually. And the ODA compiles all the data sets that we have from the African countries that we surveyed going back to 1999. You scroll down, and here is the ODA. You have different language options. We will stay in English. And now we will see how we can navigate the ODA. So you have two main steps to start using the ODA. The first step is you have to select the survey round that you're interested in. So I have round 1 to round 10. Let's say we want to look into the latest round. I clicked on round 10. The next step is to select the country or the countries that you want to analyze. Now you will see there are certain countries which are in black that I can select, while there are certain countries that are in gray and I'm not allowed to select that. So there might be two reasons for why we cannot access this. Firstly, it might be that fieldwork is still ongoing in that particular country and the data is not yet available. Or secondly, it might be that this country has not been included in the round 10 survey for different reasons, such as political climate, etc. All right, I can select, let's say we want to see Ghana. I can also select different countries at the same time, and then I would click on Analyze. So for the sake of our demonstration, we will focus on one country right now. Let's select Ghana, and we click on Analyze. This brings you to a page where we have an index of question which compiles all the 90 plus questions in the Afrobarometer questionnaire into different themes and sub-themes. For example, on your left, you will have, oops, sorry, just give me a sec. Interview conditions, democracy, institutions, etc. Let's take, for example, the category democracy. I click on it, and here I will have different subgroups under this theme. On my right, I will have all the different questions that were asked pertaining towards the theme democracy. Let's say, for example, we want to see the extent of democracy, for example. I would select extent of democracy. And this page shows you what is the actual results to this question. As you can see, the topic is the extent of democracy. And here you have the actual question that was asked to the respondent. In your opinion, how much of a democracy is Ghana today? So usually you will see in all throughout the ODA while you are using it, country is into brackets, but when we are actually in field, the actual name of the country is of course asked to the respondent. And here I have my frequency table. Let's look into this frequency table. So I'll start on the left. Here I have the different response categories. So the different options that were available were not a democracy with major problems, a democracy with minor problems, full democracy, don't understand the question, do not understand what democracy is, and of course don't know or refuse to answer. The second column, I will have the frequency, the number of respondents who actually chose a particular option response. For example, those who said Ghana is a full democracy, 553 respondents selected these options. And the last row here, you will see the total sample size, which is 2,400 for Ghana. The second column actually gives you the percentage of each category of response. So 553 out of 2,400, which equates to 23% of Ghanaians who say that the country is a full democracy. And in the last column, which is percentage over the total, subtracting the no answer, you will see in the last row, we have eliminated the refused, so the one respondent who said, who refused to answer. So eventually, the total count of respondent in this column will be 2,399. So this is my frequency table. Um, we can check here, we have well selected our round 10, Ghana, correct. And on your right, you will have the corresponding chart for your frequency table. So let's look into this bar chart. So we said 23% of Ghanaians said the country is a full democracy. Okay, I see that on my chart. Now you have different possibilities regarding the charts. You can either have it as a bar chart, which is here done automatically for you. You can also choose different type of charts. For example, let's look into this bar chart, right? It's the same data, but in a different type of graphic. You can choose a pie chart, for example, a donut, or even put it into 3D. I will go back to the original chart. I'm continuing on customizing this chart in particular. Now you will see that the option response are in the same order as it was asked in the questionnaire. But I could also sort my values in descending order. So I selected this option, sort values here, which goes from the highest to the lowest. So we start here with a democracy, but with minor problems, up to not a democracy at all. But when you're using the sort values options, please do keep in mind that sometimes sorting values is not necessarily intuitive when you're analyzing your data. For example, on my scale here, I'm talking about a democracy with minor problems, followed by a democracy with major problems, a full democracy, and not a democracy. So it doesn't follow the same scale that was used in the questionnaire. So I will just put that back in. Another option that you have is missing values. So here you will hide, for example, answers, the option that we are eliminating in the analysis. Here, refuse has been eliminated in the chart. I will show you again. Here we have refused. And here the refused value is eliminated. So sometimes you don't have to include these refusals in your analysis. What else can we do? You can further customize your charts. For example, you can decide not to show the labels or the values on your chart. As you can see, I don't have any labels on my x-axis, nor the different percentages on each bar. But it's not very interesting that way, so I will just put it back in. You can also choose to zoom in the chart. I clicked on zoom, and here the chart appears at the bottom, followed by the frequency table at the top. I will go back in the original format. Now let's go back to that frequency table. You can also customize that frequency table. To do that, you have the option here, the free line with circles on it, additional options for survey display. You can decide to exclude no answers. So what does that mean? It means that it removes response options where the percentages of respondents is 0.0%. So I can choose that. I won't be using that in my analysis then. So it will eliminate it from my table as well as my chart. Decimals in percentages. So you will see in Afrobarometer, we publish our results to whole figures. So I can reduce that. Automatically, it's at 1 decimal place. I decide to put it at 0. And then you have different other options. For example, you can choose either a comma or a dot as decimal separators. You can decide to show variable names and show category numbers. We'll apply this and show what it does. All right. So here we have showed the different numbers for options categories. And I also have a reference to the question number that I am using, which is question 32. So if I need to, I can go back to my PDF version of the questionnaire and find it there. Are we okay so far?
Yeah, moving along
Yep.
with you.
All right. Okay, great. Thank you. Now that we have seen the frequency table and the chart, let's see the other options that we have here on the top. So here you have home, which will take you back to the first two steps that we did to select the round and the country. You can go back to the list of themes and questions. You can choose from here to go to the previous question that was asked in the questionnaire, or you can go to the next questions. And then you have different analysis options. For example, you can choose to do a time series, which we will see in a while. You can choose to have an analysis using heat map, so a geographical analysis of the African continent for a particular question. And here, that's interesting. You can see the rounds that this same question was asked. So we can see here the question in your opinion, how much a democracy is Ghana today was asked since round 1. So you are able to do a time series from 1999 to 2025. Let's look into the time series now. So I will select the time series. All right. And it immediately gives me the different rounds and the percentage of each category options. Let's look here, round 10. Okay. And let's look into the chart. That would be more interesting to see the full picture. So here we have all the options response here. As you can see, it's quite cumbersome to analyze at one go with all this going on. One option that you have here is you can select one or more category options that you want to visualize. Let's say, for example, we want to see those who say a full democracy. How did that trend changed over time? All right, that's more, that's clearer to read, right? Can I get a volunteer to analyze this chart, please? Let's try to make this session more interactive. I'll check if I have a hands up. If I don't have a hands up, I'll just pick a name. Can I have a volunteer, please? I don't see any volunteer. Okay. I will select one. Ah, I have. God bless. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so I think this one is showing a full democracy. So
Mhm.
a full democracy. So what I can say about this chart is that from 1999, the respondents to this particular question uh, believe that 60, I'll say 69, is it 69? Let me see. Yeah, 69.2% of the
Done.
respondents says that Ghana has a full and is operating a full democracy. And that is in 1999. And I would say that that was the period between should I say, just before the transitional government, because of that, we had a lot of people suggesting that in 2000, 2022, the respondents 17% responded that yes, we have full democracy, and you see there's a dip in the number, and that could mean that probably the way things were done was not favorable to them, so they were having certain views, and the number increased to 33.2 in the third round. That was in 2005, meaning that probably the governments were doing okay. So respondents thought that the democracy was in the right direction. And also it increased to 55.5 in the fourth round. That was in 2008 and 9. And then from there, it started dipping again. And it dipped from uh, 55.5 to 26, and then went down to 20, came back again to 36, and now it has been dipping down from there up to today, and currently it is 23.1% of the respondents. And I can say probably the way things are being done right now, that's how a lot of people are skeptical about the democracy we are experiencing in the country. That's
Thank
my
you so much.
response.
Thank you so much. God bless. That was excellent. First of all, you interpreted the results, and secondly, importantly, you added the context to those results. You explained what could potentially explain the dips or the rise in the percentages of Ghanaians who say that the country is a full democracy. Well done.
Thank
And
you.
as from 2020 to 2024, we can see that it has started to stabilize. So the perception that Ghana is a full democracy has started to stabilize around 26, 23%. That's great. Thank you. Okay. So let's say you want to incorporate, sorry, okay. You want to incorporate these results in a report or a work that you're doing, you can actually export these results. So you will click here on export on your right. And here you have the possibility to export into different versions. You can export it as an Excel file, a PDF, or you can take a picture snapshot. Let's try to export it into an Excel file. So select Excel, Excel SX file, and export. So I have downloaded the data. Let me show it to you how it appears. Can you see the Excel file? Or are you seeing the website right now?
We are seeing the website right now, but I have
Yeah,
downloaded the
yeah.
PDF version exported to PDF.
Oh, okay, that's great. I'll just share it here. So here you can see the Excel version. You have all the data here, which you can use yourself to create your own graphic if you would like to. Or you also have the chart that you created on the ODA that you can readily use in your work. I will share the website again. Hmm. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now to come back to our original frequency table, I can just click on the time series again to close the time series option. And here we are back to our frequency table. Now let's take a step back. Let's go back to our frequency table. With this results, we have seen what is the perception of Ghanaians regarding the extent of democracy in the country, right? But maybe we can ask ourselves, how does this perception varies according to different regions? For example, rural versus urban regions in Ghana. Here you have the possibility to do what we call a cross tabulation. You will see here, select crossing variable. I will select this. Here you will have a list of different questions with which you can cross tabulate the question of extent of democracy with, for example, different demographics variables, the urban or rural region, the age of the respondent, education, etc. You can also choose a different variable, which is one of the many questions that we have in the questionnaire. For our example, let's select urban and rural primary sampling unit. I select this one. Okay, and now we have a cross tabulation with our urban and rural region, as well as the corresponding chart. So I will firstly explain briefly the different columns of this cross tabulation, and then we'll take someone, a volunteer, who would interpret this table for us. So again, we have our same response options. The second column is total. So all Ghanaians, what are their perceptions according to each category options? And here the third column, which is specific to the urban regions. So what is the perception of urbanites regarding the extent of democracy in a country? Similarly, the last column is regarding residents in the rural region. How do they perceive the extent of democracy in Ghana today? So how we read this table is we look at the sum here, it is 100%. So I will read it as a column. Now, before I give the floor to to one of you guys, let me just show you different options that you can do to analyze this result. So here what we have is we are showing percentage over the column total. So we surveyed 1,473 Ghanaians in the urban region. Out of those 1,473, 6% of them said that the country is not a democracy. Now you can also decide to show counts. So 84 respondents out of 1,473 selected that the country is not a democracy. We can decide to show percentage of a row total. Here the analysis changes. We are now interpreting the results in rows. So you see here now the percentage is 100%. So how would we read that one, interpret that one? Out of those respondents who say the country is not a democracy, 61% of them are urbanites compared to only 39 in the rural region. You can also decide to show a percentage over the total sample size. So here we are talking about how many respondents who selected not a democracy over the total sample size of 2,399. So the option of selecting which option you choose really depends on the type of analysis that you want to undertake. I will go back to the first one, so percentage over colon here. I have my corresponding chart. So again here, I can decide to display only, let's say, a full democracy. I unselect all the other category options, right? You can put it back on to show every answer. Can I get a volunteer to analyze this one, please, to interpret these results?
Mr. Timothy, can you help us?
Let me see if I see a hand. I don't see any hand. Would Emmanuel like to volunteer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
we can.
Yeah. Yes. From what I can see, the extent of democracy for the rural category, sorry, the urban category, out of the total number of respondents, 6% of them said that Ghana is not a democracy for the urban category. And 35% of them said it's a democracy with major problems. 36% saying it is a democracy with minor problems, and 22% say it is a full democracy. Then those that do not understand the question or do not understand what exactly democracy is, I think it's 8%. And those that did not know, that segment is not so clear. I cannot see the percentage. I think it's
Oh, sorry,
1%.
I'll try to zoom in. It's
Yeah,
1%, yes.
1%. Yeah. So when you come to the rural category, I think those that said it's not a democracy is same percentage like those in the urban category, 6%. Then those that said that it's a democracy with major problems, 29%. 39% for those that say it's a democracy but not but with minor problems, 24% for those that said it is a full democracy. Then those that do not know, I think it's 0%. And those that do not understand the question, it's 1%. And those that did not know, I cannot
It's
see that.
1%.
Yeah,
It's
1%.
1%.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, yes. Yeah. So that is what I can say for now.
Thank you, Emmanuel. That was great. Thanks. Well, as you said, that's good. And usually, one question that we get often is, what do we do with the don't knows or do not understand the question, for example? So it all depends. Here it is at 1%. So usually, what we do, we don't include it in the chart, for example, that we want to visualize. I can, for example, disregard this here, but we need to ensure that um, in our analysis for each of the different option categories, the percentages have included the different option, because for certain questions in certain countries, the don't knows might be a high number. Yeah. So it might be one, a high number, and secondly, don't know might actually be interesting to analyze. So one particular question that comes to my mind right now is the question that we have on, if elections were held tomorrow, for which party candidate would you be voting for, right? And in the context of Mauritius, particularly, we have almost, I think the last run was around 45 or 49% of Mauritians who say they don't know. So that could be interesting in the way that Mauritians have not yet decided, for instance, which party they are more inclined to vote to in the next elections, right? So sometimes you cannot ignore the don't knows. All right, that's great. To go back, oops, sorry, I went a bit fast on that one. Okay, so now I want to go back to our original frequency table. You can see here, remove crossing variable. I will just click on that, and it brings us to our original table. Now, from there, we have analyzed the round 10, but we can also see, for example, what did the data say for round 5? And here I can select directly round 5, and it will give me the data for round 5. I can see here, okay, it confirms round 5, 2011, 2013. Good. I'll go back to the round 10. Let's say now we are interested in seeing how the extent of democracies vary around according to different countries that we surveyed. We want to do a cross-national comparison. So for that, we have here at the bottom, select sample. I will click on that, and here you will get the list of the different countries that we surveyed, for which you can compare the results of Ghana to. Let's say, for example, we want to compare the extent of democracy in Ghana with, okay, give me two countries. Anybody?
Kenya.
Kenya. I select Kenya here. Another one?
Côte d'Ivoire.
Côte d'Ivoire. All right. I've selected the two countries, and then I click on apply. So now our chart, our frequency table and the chart gives us a cross-national comparison of the three countries that we have selected. So let's stay on not a democracy, for example. So this column now shows 9% of citizens from Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Kenya say that their country is not a democracy. Now, if we are analyzing it per country, 18% of citizens from Côte d'Ivoire say that the country is not a democracy, compared to only 6 and 8% from Ghana and Kenya, respectively. All right. So let's see this on the chart as well. I want to show only not a democracy. Here you go on the chart. And here, I think it would make sense to sort the result. If we can do that here, let me see. Okay, it's already sorted, so yeah, right? So here it makes sense to have a sorted data from the highest to the lowest. All right. Are we good so far?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Okay. Now let's take another question. So I want to go back to my list of questions. Now, okay, you guys choose which questions you want to analyze. Let's say we are selecting regional and global relations. Please select one of these questions that you want to see the results.
China's influence on economy.
All right, let's go. China's influence on economy. Great. I selected that. Okay. So the question that was asked to the respondent is, how much influence do you think China's economic activities in Ghana have on our economy, or haven't you heard enough to say? I will remove this, sorry. Okay, so that's the frequency table. Just give me a second. I'll remove the other countries that we selected. In the meantime, please, can I have a volunteer? Do we have a volunteer, or should I select a name? Okay, let me see. Sharon, would you like to give it a go? Can I have a lady, please? Belinda?
Yeah, please could you come again? A little.
Yeah, would you like to interpret this table, frequency table?
Oh, okay. So based on the question, how much influence do you think Chinese economic activities in your country have on our economy, or haven't you had enough to say? So about 7% of the respondents said none. So maybe don't have any influence in Europe. Then a little, that is about 14%, that they believe that the influence has been a little. Then 21% of the respondents also said somewhat. So there has been a bit of influence. Then a lot, which is 39%. Then 8 refused. That means refused means they didn't take it, or they do not accept that the Chinese economic activities have had any influence in the country. Then about 20% of the respondents say they do not know, or they have not heard enough of that influence in their country. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. That was great. Actually, just one point, the refused category option means that we ask the respondent the question that you correctly read, but the respondent decided to not answer the question. So these are the refused that you see here. So only 2 respondents refused to answer to these questions. Amazing, great. Okay, now we have seen the main functions of the ODA. I have one last option, which is maps, to show you. For this, let's take the example of trust. Let's choose trust in the National Electoral Commission. All right. So here the question which was asked, how much do you trust each of the following, or haven't you heard enough to say about them? So here it mentions Uganda Electoral Commission, but as I said earlier, for each country, the exact name of the Electoral Commission of the country is included in the questionnaire. So let's quickly see the level of trust in the Electoral Commission here. So 39% of Ghanaians say they do not trust at all the Electoral Commission, while only 11% of them say that they trust the Commission a lot. Now, whilst earlier we could analyze we could compare these results to different countries in the cross tabulation, we have also the possibility to see this in a heat map. So to do this, I will select the option maps here. All right. So heat maps is an interesting tool which allows you to identify geographical trends and patterns within your data. So when we map these data onto a geographic map as such, we can quickly see where certain values or categories of options are concentrated within the continent. So in the context of Afrobarometer data, a heat map can help you visualize how opinions or the behaviors of citizens varies according to the different countries that are surveyed. So for example, here we are looking into how trust in electoral commission differs across different countries in Africa. And when we click on maps here, you will get a map of Africa with countries with the collected data appearing in different shades of blue and pink. And here we have legend here as well. So from the lowest index to the highest index, I will explain that in a while. Now, the default map that the ODA generates shows an indicator that has been created for this variable. In our example, trust in the Electoral Commission here means, the indicator here means that it is the gap between the percentages of those who selected not at all trust in the Electoral Commission and the percentages of those who said a lot of trust in the Electoral Commission. So the shades of pink here indicate that more people trust the Electoral Commission not at all, and countries in blue here means that more people trust the Electoral Commission a lot. So let's move our cursor on the map here, which shows the number that which will show you the number that reflects this indicator that I talked to you about, and it is in percentage points between the not at all and the a lot responses. So the difference between the two extremes of the scale. Let's look into Ghana. So the gap here is 41. Now, usually we don't use this indicator for our analysis because it it is not that intuitive. We have other options. I go a bit up here, you will see indicator parameters. Here you can have a clearer picture by focusing on specific option response. Let's see, for example, here you have the indicator, which I just talked about. You have percentage for and most mentioned answer. Let us select percentage for. Here, under percentage for, you can actually choose the response options you would like to view. Now, with this option, the proportion of all the response option you click will be added together, and the map will be shaded into one color gradient only based on the total that you have selected. Let us see what I mean by that. Let's say I select all the values here. Okay, so I just selected all the possible response option. As you can see, the map is in the same shade of blue and doesn't tell me anything. What we usually do, and it is important that you carefully select the response option you want to include, is that we include only one side of the response option scale. For example, you will choose only the positive responses or the negative responses rather than both sides. Let's say, for example, we want to look into those who said a lot and somewhat. So this is one side of the scale, right? And now you can see that the map has different shades of blue. And what is showed is the sum of those who express trust in the Electoral Commission a lot or somewhat. Let's say we want to investigate only those who say a lot now. Okay, so I want to see the darker shade of blue. I can see Tanzania. For example, 47.5% of Tanzania says that they trust the Electoral Commission a lot. Let's see for Ghana. 11.5% of Ghanaians say they trust the Electoral Commission a lot, compared to 22.6% in Côte d'Ivoire. Are we okay so far?
Nigeria.
Sorry?
What's the percentage for Nigeria?
Okay, let's see the percentage for Nigeria. Okay, 4.5% of Nigerians say they trust the the Electoral Commission a lot. So at one glance, you can see countries who have a highest citizens who trust the Electoral Commission a lot. Tanzania stands out of the lot. Even Senegal, is it Senegal? 42%. Yeah. Now, a last option that you have, I have a question, I think. Let me see. Yes, Kamal.
Yes, thank you, Suhaila. I just wanted to also, I like the question about Nigeria. It shows that you guys are, already doing comparative analysis. But also, I wanted to point out that Tanzania is an outlier. There's so many items in the data that Tanzania just appears, separate from the rest of the countries, so that's something interesting to highlight for, especially if you want to end up working with round 10 data. It's nice to keep in mind that Tanzania is an outlier on many of our democratic indicators.
Mm. Thanks for that, Kamal. Okay, so the last options that I wanted to show you is the option of most mentioned answer, which now shows you the most common responses across all countries. So here the map reveals that, let's see, the different options were not at all, just a little, somewhat, and a lot. So not at all was in red. And let's see. So the most common answers across across the majority of countries surveyed was actually um, the majority of citizens said that they do not trust the Electoral Commission. They trust the Electoral Commission not at all. So those in red. What about my country, Mauritius? Okay, Mauritians somewhat trust the Electoral Commission. All right. Again, you can toggle for different rounds of survey for the same question for the mapped heat map option. For example, I selected the round 9. Okay, so it will give you the results for round 9. Here again, you can export the map either as an Excel or a PDF. Let us now choose to export it as a PDF. I will show you how it appears. Right. So this is the PDF version of what we just analyzed, first national elections. You will have the heat map over here. You can either incorporate it directly into your work. Okay, what else? Okay, let us just go back now. I will ask you to please tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, and we will have a last example before we switch to the Q&A section. I am now on the first page of the ODA, so we have to make 2 steps. So I will select the first round that I hear. Which round do you want to analyze? Anyone?
Round 5.
Round 5. Which countries or country?
Sudan.
Sudan. Where is it? Okay. And then we click on analyze. Which theme would you like to investigate? The first one that I hear, I will just scroll. Economy, democracy, institutional leaders. Okay, let's just select institutional leaders. From the list here on the left, which one would you like to see? The performance of the president, trust in the president, corruption.
Trust in Parliament,
Anyone?
National Assembly.
Trust in the Parliament, National Assembly. All right. Okay. So the question that was asked, do you approve or disapprove of the way the following people have performed their jobs over the past 12 months, or haven't you heard enough about them to say you're member of parliament? So the category response was strongly disapprove to strongly approve. Now here, missing or unknown, don't know or haven't heard enough. One important point, before Afrobarometer survey switched to questionnaire on tablet, the survey was done prior to that on paper. So I think we switched to copy based in round 5, if I'm not mistaken, or round 6. So in the previous early rounds, you might see some missing data. It could be, for example, of human error. Of course, when you have a questionnaire with 90 plus question, it is normal that you might have skipped a question unknowingly, or it could be a damage to the questionnaire, for example, and this is why you might see some missing data in the early rounds of Afrobarometer. Can I have someone to analyze these results for us, please? Yes, I can show you how to access these areas. Yeah, Shepherd, Lord, can I show you just after this one? Anyone, a volunteer, please? No volunteer.
Dr.
Okay,
Bruce,
I
would you
will
do us the
just.
favor?
No. Okay, let me see another one. Who didn't I pick earlier? Nasir, would you do us the honor, please? No. Okay, I'll volunteer then. All right, so in the round 2011, 2013, 31, I would even say 47% of Sudanese say that they disapprove or strongly disapproved of the performance of their member of parliament, compared to only 30% of them who positively rated the performance of the member of parliament. All right. Okay. So we had a request to show again how to access these resources. I will stop here. Sorry, I will stop here. I will just do a recap of how to access the resources, and then we open the floor for any questions that you have. All right, so Shepard, I go back to the Afrobarometer website, which is, let me see if you can see the correct screen right now. Yeah, so I'm on the Afrobarometer website, www.afrobarometer.org, and on the top you have the different tabs that you can access to get the resources. So here you can access countries. So per country, you will get the different resources available, the data set, the questionnaire, the code books, the different publications available. Under survey, you will get the different resources as well. You can also choose to access the different resources according to your theme of interest. And importantly here under data, you can get dataset, merge data, or code books. Now, the same resource can be accessed in two different ways as I showed earlier. So you can go through those different tabs and go through to see the different resources that we have. Now, this was the first part on how to access the different resources. The second part of the session was how do you access the online data analysis tool of Afrobarometer. So firstly, you can access it via the online, via the top banner where it is written here, Analyze Online. Or if you're on your smartphone, sometimes you won't see the top banner, so you can just scroll to the bottom of the website and you will get Analyze Online here, and you just click on Analyze Online here. Now, if you missed the start of the second section of the session, we have a series of videos available on how to navigate the online data analysis tool. Again, oh, it's just here. Yeah. So the Afrobarometer video training video library, the online data analysis training series. So in fact, that would be interesting if you guys want to go through it again and follow along while you're watching the videos, and maybe you're navigating the ODA to really get a hands-on of the ODA tool. So I can show that to you here. All right. So you will have different episodes, short episodes, very concise, straight to the point that will assist you in doing the basic analysis that you have, that you want to do. This is what we went through today. Good. All right, I will stop here now and open the floor for questions, comments. Any questions or comment?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam. Last week I couldn't join, and the late escaped me. Skipped me. My question is, if I have my data, can this system help me to input my data and also help me to analyze my data? That's my question.
If I understood your question correctly, you're asking if you can insert your own data on the online data analysis tool. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay. So unfortunately, no. The online data analysis tool is a pre-built tool with only the Afrobarometer data set.
Okay.
You won't be
Thank
able
you.
to upload any external data set of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, can I come in?
Yes, please, Emmanuel.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you have done so very well. I really enjoyed your presentation. But I want to come through with this clarification, particularly, I came in late actually, but from where I joined, I will want to make some clarification regarding particularly to the measure of perception on democracy across the various African countries. I realize that you have descriptives on the descriptives on the perception levels or the percentages. Is it possible to do further analysis? For instance, one interesting thing came out on where Tanzania is an outlier, looking at the trends. Other countries, most of them really have some, are being skeptical about the fact that their countries are on democracy. Now, is it possible on the same platform to find out the reason why Tanzania is recording such a figure I don't know whether you had
Yep.
my question.
I get your question, Emmanuel.
Yes.
I will answer. Maybe Kamal can come in on that too. That's an excellent question, Emmanuel. So with the Afrobarometer data, you will get the numbers. You will get the percentages of respondents' perceptions and opinion, right? Now,
Right.
what's interesting is what comes next. What do we do as researchers is with the quantitative data that we have, we bring in the context to why this percentage, right? Why is
Yeah.
Tanzania an outlier, for example? So this
Right.
might come from literature review, or if a researcher is doing a qualitative study, for example, I don't know. So that could complement and help us to understand the why. So with Afrobarometer data, you get how much, the percentages, and us as researchers, we bring in the context from different other sources to explain why, for example, Tanzania could be an outlier.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question. Kamal, you can come in if you want, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Suhaila, and thank you for the question as well. Suhaila, I agree with what Suhaila said. I think what I also add, because you asked on the same platform, right? So on the platform, the ODA will allow you to see frequencies, and so you can see univariate frequencies. That is, you can look at that question itself, the extent of democracy, or trust the National Electoral Commission, and then maybe use a map, a heat map, and then through the heat map, you form a comparative picture. But also with the ODA, you can run a frequency for one variable. So that variable, you can run a frequency on it and see the level for Tanzania. And then you can also do a cross tabulation. So the cross tabulation is your first step. So for example, you might ask yourself that, Tanzanians do not trust their national, or Tanzanians trust their National Electoral Commission. Is there a difference between maybe a cross tabulation between gender groups? Is there a difference between men and women? And then you do a cross tab using the ODA. Then the ODA will give you the frequencies, and it will tell you even the percentages of men and women in terms of their response to not trusting the National Electoral Commission. So you can do that with a series of demographic variables. And so perhaps you're also interested in age groups. You can look at it across age cohorts. The ODA will give you that. So the ODA is a first step towards, trying to provide a context. However, with the ODA, you cannot do a statistical test. So if for example, using maybe I should share my screen so that these things are a bit more intuitive. I don't know whether I'm allowed to. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, it's here.
Yeah.
It's
So
paused.
suppose we are interested in Tanzania, and let's stick to Ghana. Tanzania, Ghana, and let's include Nigeria. Where's Nigeria? Yeah, analyze. And then we are looking at democracy, and we're looking at elections, and it was, well, actually, was it trust institutions, right? So no democracy, it was trust. Yeah, so trust National Electoral Commission. So we have already looked at the heat map, etc., right? So now let's just focus on the table. So across all three countries, 29% do not trust their National Electoral Commission at all. So let's say this is the average. An average is a nice statistical model as well, because an average doesn't really exist. So, but you can compare each country against the average. So with a basic model like the average, you can see that Ghanaians are above the average. 39% of Ghanaians do not trust their National Electoral Commission at all. Nigeria is also above the average, and Tanzania is below the average. So
Yeah.
now, in terms of research questions, now you ask yourself, oh, okay, maybe why is Tanzania below the average? So in that case, so this is your initial justification, and now I'll actually remove the crossing variable. Oh, sorry, there was no crossing variable. Um, okay, here it is, and then I'll unselect samples. So I'll just stick with, now remove Ghana, I'll remove
Nigeria.
Nigeria, Yeah, and then I'll include only Tanzania. And then now I'll select a crossing variable because we know that Tanzania only 6.6% said that they do not trust their National Electoral Commission. So this is just, I'm just trying to illustrate to you how you can just use the ODA, this tool, to start asking you questions without doing statistical tests, just descriptives. So suppose now you're interested in, let's say, age groups in Tanzania, right? So age groups per showing over column. Forget about the chart now. I in fact don't like those charts. I prefer these. Um, but so now you're looking at age groups. So across all Tanzanians, 6.6% said they do not trust the National Electoral Commission. In terms of age groups, there is some variation, right? It seems like the 18 to 25-year-olds are below the average, and then above the average is the 26 to 45-year-olds. So that already starts telling you something. And you can use the ODA to do this kind of one-on-one bivariate analysis, because in this case, you're looking at this one variable and how it's being crossed against another variable. But these are demographic variables that allow you to say something to provide some context. So that is using the ODA. But as Suhaila mentioned earlier on, technically, you have to, maybe you start with a descriptive analysis, you see an issue, you do a literature review, and even if you are doing using quantitative data, you might want to actually not just show us that the percentage between 18 and 25-year-olds, you have maybe 5.5 versus 30, 8.2, 36 to 45-year-olds. You might want to actually tell us, use a test of statistical significance so that we know whether these two variables are statistically and significantly different from each other. But that's just building more context. I hope this has maybe at least shown you how the ODA you can use it for descriptive analysis, but at least as a start of doing descriptive analysis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? I don't see any more questions. I will share the video.
I would like to ask you a question.
Yes, please, Kamiru, but there's a heavy echo from your mic.
Hello, is it okay now?
I'll try to discern it. There's still an echo. Please go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, if I want to write an article based on the data from Afrobarometer, and I want to write my model specification, how do I go by using this data? How do I go by writing the model specification?
I didn't get the last part, Kamiru. I understand you want to write an article based on Afrobarometer data. That's the only part that I got.
Yes, and I'm saying I have to write my model specification. The model specification, please, is it okay now?
The model specifications?
Yes. How do I go by it if I want to write the model specification using the Afrobarometer data and that of the ODA?
I'm not sure I got your questions. Kamal, did you get the question?
Yes, I got the general gist of it. So he asked about how does he
Okay.
go about model specification using the ODA. So, Cameroon,
Okay.
you can't do any model specifications using the ODA. The ODA is purely for descriptive analysis. The ODA doesn't allow you to do any tests of statistical significance. So if you want to do the model specification, then you have to download the data set, as Zuhaila showed you earlier on today, and then use your statistical package of choice to analyze the data. And also, in terms of the model specification, I can't give you a general that this is how you should specify your models. But as long as you provide some justification for why you are specifying your model in that kind of way, it will work. But there's different variable types. The data is Likert scale based, so it's ordinal variables, and nominal variables. Um, and so technically you can't really do an OLS linear regression with it, but most in survey data analysis people still do OLS. But these days I see there's more and more discussions about why we are doing OLS. So there's a shift towards more logistic regression based models. And not even binomial, but even ordinal logistic regression based models. So I guess that's what I can tell you about model specification, but you just have to keep in mind that the data is perceptions, it's about people's perceptions. It's not objective data per se, and it's captured in Likert scales and rating scales. And so you have to think about how these nominal variables or ordinal variables have some substantive meaning. But otherwise, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any more questions? So I have shared the link for the video training library for the ODA, as well as the link to access and download the different data sets available in the chat. Prof, God bless. I don't see any questions. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so once again, we thank everyone for your availability to this tutorial, third day of this tutorial. I have shared I believe we are all part of the WeChat group for this particular tutorial. I've shared the two links on the group. So once we are done, we can go there and visit the various sites and then continue on the tutorial there. We can watch the videos over and over and over again. And then also this platform we've been introduced to, I think Dr. Kamal will understand this. ODA, we will say Odan, but ODA, this platform, I think, is a very good platform that we all have to get our hands dirty on. And then I believe that it will also give us the insight, whatever research you are trying to do, with all that we have gone through, these descriptives, it will help us understand certain trends that we want to, research on. I was very much particular. I don't know if it's just sheer coincidence that we used the democracy as a point of tutorial, because I have a certain point of view. And this data set, I even earlier went to do the what do you call it, the time series analysis from 1999 up to today, and I realized that the people's interest in the democracy we are running actually is coming down, though it's around the 27%. You can see that those who are saying there are a lot of problems, the percentage are high. So it's good that this data has a lot of information that we can benefit from. So our thanks goes to Afrobarometer for opening our eyes to this data set. And I believe that we will take great advantage of this and try and make sure that by the end of this tutorial, probably some months after, you'll be getting some papers from China, NUGS-China. Yeah, that is using Afrobarometer data to, extend our research capabilities. So thank you very much, Suelia and Dr. Kamal for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for your availability. We say a big thank you. So we will meet tomorrow, same time. We are meeting tomorrow, same time. So please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. These are the reasons we traveled all those miles from Ghana to China. So if you are getting it for free and you are not paying it, please inform a friend to join us tomorrow evening and let's have the final day of this wonderful tutorial. So we call it a day. So if Mr. Bruce is hearing my voice, please kindly just give us the closing prayer and let's call it an evening.
Hello.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice.
All right. All right, shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for a time like this. We pray and ask that even as we've started this journey, you will help us to a successful end. We pray also that you add more knowledge to what we have learned here. And even as we meet and continue to meet, you increase the knowledge. We also pray that you empower our facilitators and all those who are teaching us to be able to impact more knowledge onto us. We pray that you, Lord, will also continue to make them more knowledgeable, even as they continue to teach us. We thank you for an answered prayer in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. See you tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
everyone.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.